When we look at images of dancers, what is it that we are actually seeing? Do these pictures provide complete and accurate portraits of human beings? Or do they instead reinforce traditional stereotypes? Are they an invitation or a barrier to those who do not identify with this narrow interpretation of the human experience? What happens when these images become the prescribed way that dance is taught and performed in our society? What happens to members of the dance community who do not identify with these images? Hello, my name is Michael Montoya. I am a transgender dancer, choreographer, and teacher. In this, the first of 4 lessons on gender roles in dance, you will have the opportunity to meet dancers who, like me, identify as members of the LGBTQIA+ community. You will also have the opportunity to hear about our experiences with the often rigid, traditional, cisgender, heteronormative roles taught and reinforced in the world of dance. Please join us as we step out from the wings.
My name is Manny Tirado. I'm gay, masculine, la la la, all that fun stuff.
So tell me about how you came to be a dancer. What motivated you to want to dance?
I think being a family of 6, everybody always had some sort of an outlet. And I just love to dance. And so it all started in high school in the dance team, and then just progressed from the college into the studio.
My name's Elsa Swan. Sexual identity is lesbian. So I was at a gay bar, and there was this country dance group there that was doing a dance style called clogging, which is kind of like Irish step dancing changed up a little bit. Mm-hmm. And my heart started racing. It was like a spark went off.
My name is Ismael. The way I say it in Spanish, Ismael Murillo. I consider myself very openly gay. Ever since I remember, even though I didn't have the luxury or opportunities from my family in Mexico, I remember loving music. Music was in my body, it was my passion. I remember dancing by myself and my dad criticizing me. You go dance with other people. You don't dance by yourself like you are crazy or a loco or whatever. But look where he got me.
My name is John Trammell III. I am he, him, but my friends and others do call me she and her sometimes. I am a gay man. As far as dance, I am a college graduate from Marygrove College, class of 2017, with my Bachelor's of Fine Arts in Dance Theater Performance.
My name is Scott. I go by they, them pronouns. My gender situation is more of like queer, non-binary, and that also, I think, falls into my sexual orientation. I started dancing in undergrad. And I took a like a non-majors hip hop class, and then it just kind of like blossomed into something that I just couldn't get enough of.
Hi, I'm Jack Clark. I identify as a she, her. I am a lesbian, and yeah, I think that's all of them, right? I was super fortunate in that I found dance at a very young age. My parents just enrolled me in class, and I don't actively remember this, but my mom always said that like when she would try to pull me away from the studio, I would start sobbing because I loved it so much. And so, yeah, I just kind of followed that journey. I went to a studio growing up that was very jazz based. And then I went into college and studied dance there, and my mind just kind of like exploded.
My name is Seal Pavlucky. I am non-binary. I go by like they for like the majority, but she, they, he, whatever, doesn't really affect me. When I was 13, I got into an off-Broadway show, which was musical theater, and I went into it with singing experience, and that was it. And then after that experience, which was only like a 3-week process, I realized like, oh, I need to know how to dance if I want to be in this world.
Have you ever felt that there was a particular style of dance where your gender or your sexual identity was not accepted where you felt kind of shunned away from or uncomfortable with?
Yeah, definitely. I feel like ballet, I feel that way about ballet a lot. Ballet can be extremely traditional, and in those traditions, there's an expectation of gender roles and storytelling that's being played. A lot of times, I, as a more feminine, expressing gender-wise lesbian, don't have as difficult of a time with it, but I definitely have friends that have felt extremely shunned and isolated in the fact that they were expected to wear tutus.
I frequently find that I get sort of like pigeonholed into like, especially I think in more balletic kinds of worlds, into like hypermasculine ways of dancing, or I often am like the base for lifts, even in like various forms of contemporary dance. There's still like some expectations that are sort of like continued, like why aren't you jumping X amount high, right? Because that's like a total like male body dancer thing.
Have there been times where you have been in a class, or maybe working on choreography for a choreographer, and were told specifically to dance more masculine?
For sure.
Yeah.
Mhm. It's usually in coded language though. It's never exactly like dance more masculine.
Yeah.
It's more like you could be more grounded is one way that I've heard it.
You ever told to change your quality of movement? Did anybody say, oh, you need to dance more male, you need to be stronger? I've heard other male dancers say they were told to be more grounded. Like, were there any terms like that to sort of try to mold you in a different direction of the way you felt to dance?
Definitely. And that just comes along with growth and actually being a man in the dance company scene or even in the commercial scene. It's more so of a masculine context when you take on your contemporary aspect. In the format that we perform in, it's a lot of partnering work. And even if the movement is fluid or in a feminine, has feminine textures, I'm gonna just say that, has feminine textures or qualities, then as a man in the company realm, you still have to make it where it reads off as a man moving just fluidly, and regardless of the movement, you have to still find a balance between showing the feminine quality but masculating it on your body.
I'm thinking back when I was working with at the nightclubs. Back then, we had this stereotype that a lot of singers didn't want to hire guys, or because the really good dancers were very feminine, they were very gay. And so you had this expectation of like, if you're gonna be a male dancer, you need to look like a male dancer.
When you were training, did you experience times where there were separate tracks for female and male dancers, separate ways, different skills, different techniques, different performance qualities, quality of movement that you were encouraged to follow, either A or B, that they sort of directed you towards?
Absolutely. I think more so in college than growing up. Growing up, I was fortunate enough to go to a studio with a lot of boys. And because of that, in ballet classes, the male jumps are slower. They're expected to jump higher. But in our like general jazz technique classes, it was nice because we were expected to jump as high as the boys and, things like that. So we kind of got like the not double-edged sword, but like, the double experience in that. But definitely in college, it was very specifically like, for instance, ballet partnering class. If you were the male, you had to support and be strong and be grounded and stay stable. And as the female, you were expected to be soft and delicate and pretty. And being that soft, delicate, emotional flower, but not too overly emotional in your performance that it's off-putting or upsetting or aggressive, and those expectations, they just kind of like internally mess you up. And again, revisiting you're moving too sexy, right? That end of the spectrum too is you're expected to be soft and dainty and pretty, and in some aspects as a female you're expected to be sexual, but you can't be too sexual that it's raunchy. And like that balance too, there's these extreme expectations of how you're expected to look and move and be within that gender role of being a female dancer, but it can't be to one extreme or the other. It has to be perfectly streamlined in the middle.
I think as a woman, I would rather have someone say, you're a beautiful person, because as a woman, I've felt pretty constrained, in what I'm allowed to do, what I should do, and, how I should look and all of that. And even though I'm this femme girl, I still feel that pressure. And I'd rather just be, whatever I need to be in the moment.
I think the weirdest part was like, okay, we're going to get the boys out here to dance. And that means something different than all these girls dancing. Like, you could just feel it. They only knew that I was identified as female because I had a bun. Like, it's not like, it doesn't matter to me. I want to be able, like, there are boys' classes. Why can't I take that boys' class? There are classes where the boys dance together because that's how they train. Why can't I take that class? That's a technique that in the end, it comes out to that's a technique that I'm missing, that I could improve upon. And you're not letting me do it?
For me personally, having transitioned and I trained, and when I was training, I was always told girls dance like this. And I had to learn how to dance more feminine.
Right.
And really, really worked at it. And now when I dance, people sometimes are kind of surprised at how I move, because it's like it's masculine, but it's not, because it's a mix. And they're just look at me like they haven't seen a guy dance like that before. And it's because I was not allowed to dance a certain way. I mean, it did push me to try and do new things, but I think it's very interesting now. People have such a different perception of my dancing because the packaging has changed. Now that you've had the opportunity to meet us and hear how gender role expectations affect LGBTQIA+ dancers, I encourage you to take some time to reflect on how gender role expectations may affect you and others you know in your own lives. I also encourage you to join us in our next lesson, where we will be discussing the importance of performing in roles that match with our gender and sexual identity. Thank you again for joining us.